Bro, I had this Toka. I don't remember him looking like this though. I don't remember him looking this ugly. But this is amazing, dude.
What's going on, y'all? I didn't see y'all there. Welcome back to DwreckTV. I'm Dwreck. And today is another drawing video. First one in about a couple weeks. Hope everybody enjoyed the one last weekend. And today's video is going to be on a character that I have not drawn in over 30 years. And I'm talking about Rocko. Rocko from Rocko's Modern Life. My goodness. The things that I've said about that cartoon, man. And also it's been like what? Since 93 that I'm still watching that cartoon. It's incredible. And especially watching that cartoon as a kid and watching it now as an adult. You'd be surprised on some of the stuff that I learned from that cartoon that I applied into my early adulthood and everything. It's pretty accurate in a way. But with that being said, let's draw Rocko. Yeah, I went ahead and penciled them in, so I don't get no mistakes out in anything. But I think he came out pretty good. What y'all think? For the first time in like 30 years since I've drawn Rocko. Alright, well that being said, let's get to inking Rocko the Wallaby. Let's get to inking him. And I gotta say, if it wasn't for cartoons like Rocko and even Ren and Stimpy and the anime art styles of Akira Toriyama and Rumiko Takahashi, man, those are like some of the most influential art styles ever, for me anyway. The art styles on Rocko's Modern Life, the cartoon itself was incredible. I loved it. I loved the colors, I loved the art styles, I loved everything about it. The music, the background music to it, and just the situations that Rocko would get into with Heifer and Filbert and Spunky's antics and everything, like the stuff that he would get into. It was just a good cartoon. For it being the fourth Nicktoon, I thought it was good. Much like many people want to say it was almost like Ren and Stimpy in a way. Me personally, from what I've seen, like Ren and Stimpy was more of like shock value, like shock, like it, because that cartoon definitely turned some heads in the early 90s with the start of the Nicktoons brand. And John Krafowski, his art styles was incredible. It was like a very twisted, I want to say Hanna-Barbera in a way, but like definitely like a Tex Avery, but just more contrived and twisted and demented in a way. And the things that Ren and Stimpy would get into was just completely off, nothing like I'd ever seen before in a cartoon. Definitely turned some heads. And the art style on that was just captivating. Aside from all the gross humor and everything, it was incredible. But some episodes were better than others. On to Rocko's Modern Life. That came out 93. Mid to late 93, around that time. And the art style was almost similar, but Rocko was more clean and more tamed than that of Ren and Stimpy, if that makes any sense. Because if Ren and Stimpy was doing stuff like rubbing nipples and happy joy, and Ren wringing Stimpy's throat like he owed him money, Rocko was more like, it definitely had some gross out humor, but it felt more tamed. And it dealt with a lot more like quote unquote modern life situations. Definitely a situation comedy between him, his best friends, Heifer, and eventually Filbert, and especially with his neighbors, the Bigheads. Mostly with Ed Bighead, and Bev Bighead was just crazy. And the things that his dog Spunky would get into was just off the wall. But I really liked Rocko as a cartoon. It was, like I said, one of my top favorite cartoons I've ever watched. Because the situation comedy was great. The art style I loved. The music, the background music reminded me almost like I want to say like Living Color in a way, but it definitely had like it just had that sound to it. Had a very funky sound to it. It went from funky, it went to like almost like a surfer type music in a way, like a Hang 10 type deal. But there are also some episodes of Rocko that was kind of like and there was a lot of them too. Like, I'd say some of my favorite episodes of Rocko's Modern Life, definitely Trasho Madness was one of my favorites. The one with the Sucko-matic, Rocko trying to find a job, and he lands with Ed Bighead, and then he goes to the comic book store. Some other, can't really, I know I watched every episode, just about every episode. I do have the DVD set. When him, Heifer, and Filbert go camping, that was a good one. When they go fishing, that was funny. Me and my cousin Max laughed our heads off at Bye Bye Birdie with the bird Turdy. That was hilarious. Just a lot of good ones. Especially the episodes with Ralph Bighead. My cousin Max would laugh his head off when he kept saying, "Never, never, never." He thought that was the funniest thing. I got a lot of, I'm gonna have to really think about that one. Like, what's my favorite Rocko episodes? But as far as like a lot of the good episodes that Rocko had, he also had some not so good ones. I'm gonna have to really think about that one too. And yes, I even drew his logo because I thought the Rocko logo was extremely cool. Between that and the Earthworm Jim logo and the Fatal Fury logo were some of the coolest things I've ever seen. Like some of the coolest logos ever. Abso-freaking-lutely. I love that style. I love it. And I carried over that style into my own style, mixed with like a manga style to it from my original comic books. Like, if you read my original comic books, you could definitely tell there's some Rocko influence to it, as well as anime like Fooly Cooly. Alright, Rocko is inked up. Let's erase them up and we'll get to coloring them. And I'd say some of my favorite episodes. Definitely one with trying to remember when Filbert was a lounge singer. That was a good one. The episode where Rocko and Filbert was with the big heads and they was in the cabin trapped under snow. Definitely the camping episode. Sucker for the Sucklematic. Unbalanced Load was a good one. The carnival episode. Sand in Your Navel. I didn't really care for the episode on the cruise ship. I didn't care for that one. Bye Bye Birdie was hilarious. Oh, when they go to the movie theater, that was a good one. And the thing about Rocko is like, the episode when he gets fired and then he goes find a job and he lands with Mr. Bighead and then he goes to the comic book store. That was a good episode because that really resonated with me when I was trying to find a job. That really resonated with me, and especially trying to get driver's licenses and everything. Some of it was pretty accurate, but some of it was like very exaggerated. All right, let's color in Rocko. And Heifer and Filbert definitely remind me of some of my friends back in elementary school. The episode with friends like these, where Filbert and Heifer were trying to talk Rocko into taking one of them to the wrestling, and they was trying to like suck up to him, and Rocko got pissed, and then they wound up handcuffing themselves to Rocko, and then they just are just walking amongst themselves arguing, and Rocko was just getting into so much shit. Then when they finally get there, Rocko like gets fed up, and then he freaking goes nuts and tears the tickets up. "Here's the tickets for you. Here's the tickets for you. Tickets for everybody. Now we can all go." Like this poor dude. The Wacky Deli episode was hilarious. My cousin Max laughed his head off. And as far as the video game goes, I'm not going to talk too much into depth with that because I've already talked about that into oblivion. I've even did whole handy dandy guides, and I did a game review of it, and I talked about it as an honorable mention for my top 10 Super Nintendo games. So I'm not going to go into too much detail of it, but I will say this. Even though I have my gripes about the game itself, I do have some sentimentals to it because I actually thought that game was going to be something like a side-scrolling platformer, similar to like Mario World or Donkey Kong Country. But no, it was the whole escort mission where you had to guide Spunky. A game like that game definitely, abso-freaking-lutely left a lot to be desired. I was like, man, why did they make the game like this? I beat it a few times when I was a kid, but the whole time I was playing it, I was like, man, why did they do the game like this? Like, that game left a lot to be desired. That could have been like the Real Monsters game where you can tag in Rocko, Heifer, and Filbert, go through the worlds, and trying to save Spunky from the bad guys. But no, that's what we got. Travesty. Speaking of travesty, that Netflix special of Rocko's Modern Life, Static Cling, that came out about a couple years ago. And that was a big letdown. I mean, it was alright, but it was a big letdown, especially on certain topics and everything. I'm like, why are we doing this? Especially when it came to Ralph Bakehead. You know what I'm talking about. I was like, what are we doing? I never want to watch this again. And I never watched Static Cling ever since. And the art style just didn't really do it for me. Like, Rocko's art style was definitely meant for that early mid 90s Nicktoons. Trying to recreate it now with the technology now just it doesn't feel right. It feels like it's too forced, and it feels too, dare I say, fabricated. An art style like Rocko is definitely he's a product of his time, and I'm glad that he didn't go like 5 seasons, 6 seasons, 10 seasons. Some cartoons just need like 4 years, 4 seasons, at least 4 or 5 seasons. That's all you need. Tell the stories that you need to say, and then move on. That's all. That's all you need. If he becomes a product of his time, then let it be a product of his time. It doesn't need to be anything bigger than it needs to be. Now let's get these triangles. Get the triangles. Isn't that cool? Pepper was hilarious. Filbert was funny.
The problem is with comic books, you get the ink gets on the hands. If you gotta turn the page, you gotta wash your hands. You turn the page and you wash your hands.
Oh, another favorite episode, Camera Shy was good, where they try to get Rocko's picture taken in the newspaper, and all the antics, and the Chameleon Brothers going through a whole bunch of hairstyles and such. And the episode where Rocko was filming home movies for his parents, and Heifer and Filbert were filming it. That was freaking hilarious. Me and Max laughed whenever it was filming Rocko going to get a glass of milk.
And he ain't dressed for the occasion, if you know what I mean.
You heard right. He's completely naked.
With no clothes on.
I thought that was like the funniest thing, because their facial expressions and their mannerisms were freaking hilarious. And especially the Chameleon Brothers. The Chameleon Brothers are just airheads. Yeah, they're just complete airheads. Mr. Big Head was funny as well in his way, and even Mrs. Big Head, like,
Ed, that garden is the only thing that needs attention.
she sounds like a freaking smoker. I wish I was more of a gardener than do. Keeping up with the Big Heads was a good one too. That was funny. There are some episodes, like I said, there are some episodes of Rocko that are like not so good and kind of left a lot to be desired. Especially ones where they implemented that Rocko wanted to find like a love interest. Like the episode with Melba. Yeah, Melba wasn't that. You never even saw what Melba looked like. And he fell in love with her. But she already had a boyfriend, but he wanted to try to get with her or something, but nah, he deserves better. Then the episode where they go to France, that was funny, especially with the bus driver, if you know what I'm talking about. But then Rocko found that female wallaby. I keep forgetting what her name was. I want to say it was like Cecilia or something like that. But no, Heifer freaking inadvertently cock-blocked Rocko. That's one thing about Heifer. As good as a friend he is, he's a unintentional cock-blocker. Because when Rocko was just trying to find companionship, just trying to talk to the girl and everything, and then Heifer just all of a sudden is just there. He's just there. We cock-block Rocko. Then the episode where he fell in love with his male lady, I think her name was Alicia. Could be wrong. It's been a long time since I've seen this. I do remember some names. She looked like a taller version of Rocko, but she had like a tan to her. Rocko wanted to get with her. And at first it seemed like Heifer was going to be cock blocking him again. But then she was saying something like it was like another postal prank. So it seemed like Rocko could have went on a date with her. But no, nothing came of it. Then one episode with Sheila. Sheila was the roller skate girl. Rocko immediately fell in love with her. But she knew Heifer as well. So I think Heifer tried to set them up on a date. And then he wound up saving Heifer because he was rolling uncontrollably unconscious down a hill. So Rocko wound up saving him. And I think that impressed Sheila. And it seemed like she was showing an interest to Rocko. Especially at the end of the episode, they rode off together. I was like, okay, he's gonna get with Sheila now. Rocko and Sheila. But no. Just like everything else in Rocko's Wildlife episodes, just when you think Rocko was getting to that next level, nope, he's still in the same spot in the next episode. That's one of the things that really aggravate the piss out of me with certain shows, is like just when you think that a character is moving to that next level, the next episode that comes after this, they're back in that square one. That's like that when in certain episodic shows, and especially in live action shows. Like just when you think a character is moving on with something happens to where they're back to square one. Things like that aggravate the piss out of me. Like, come on. You want to see these characters evolve. You want to see these characters like move on from where they were before. Some shows are like that. Other shows like Rocko, no. But when it comes to Filbert and Dr. Hutchison, you see their relationship evolve from being like just flirting in a way, and then they wind up getting married, and then they have 4 kids. That was a funny episode too, when they had to nurture their egg, Dr. Hutchison and Filbert's egg. They had to nurture it until it hatched. That was a funny episode. Now let's try this.
Oh, I'm sorry. Does the big squishy butt have something to say to it? Big squishy butt. That's right. Now get back on the egg and clam it. I'll have to take orders from you, you big 4-eyed father of the year. Oh yeah.
And then the eggs start hatching. Filbert's talking about,
Heifer, I'm sorry. All I wanted was a butt like yours.
And they got away with a lot of like innuendos and such that you never really picked up on until like years later. And some of the stuff that they did, my parents even laughed at. And you would think like some parents would be like, "Oh my god, How can they put it on a kid's cartoon? Shoot, my parents thought that was hilarious. I don't know what y'all thinking about. My parents thought that was hilarious, so people need to lighten up. Alright, Rocko looks pretty good. This looks extremely good. And I gotta get his mouth.
It's Rocko's modern life. We shaking, aren't we, Spunky? Spunky.
And then he screams,
Spunky!
there he is. That was a hoot! Should I color the logo?
Yeah, why not?
I was not a fan of the B-52's version of the intro song. I really liked the first version of it, because that was the one I heard before. And when I first heard the B-52's version, I was like, what is this? Sounds kind of lame. Oh, the episode when they're bowling, that was a good episode. And when he's going shopping, that was a good one. Especially when he goes off on Filbert. I've had incidences like that happen many times. Not just in the grocery store, but like at certain fast food restaurants and such. Freaking went off on people. Everyone's like, oh my god. And Rocko sounds like he wants to freaking curse out Filbert. Talk about, you cheap little rotor. I can imagine him saying, you cheap motherfucker. Like, damn. I know that feeling. I was like, damn.
You cheap motherfucker.
It's hilarious. I really enjoy doing things like this. I'm very surprised how good this came out. This looks incredible. What y'all think? This looks so cool. This looks so cool. What tangerine color. It's really good, huh? Same as the major. There he is. Check it out. Check it out, y'all. First time I drew Rocko in 30 years. I think it came out extremely good. This came out real good. This came out damn good. One of my all-time favorite cartoons from when I was a kid up to now. And a very huge part of my art styles. Of how I draw and everything. Rocko's Modern Life helped out a lot. Helped out a lot, inspire, and really helped out in my art styles. Especially with my comic books and everything. I love it. So I hope y'all enjoyed it. So stay tuned next week. We do another art video, or I'll be doing something else. So See y'all next week. Leave a comment and see what y'all want me to draw next, and I'll get to it. And this is Dwreck saying see y'all on the flip side.
You don't know where the macho man is coming from.